Hi guys, this is Hi at Torque Automotive. I'm a Toyota Certified Master Technician for 12 years. We do a lot of head gaskets, as you can see, in hybrid batteries. Right now we're doing the part 2 for this Prius with the bad head gasket issue. You could tell, like, on the head gasket itself, this is where the failure point is. So hey guys, so when we do head gaskets, we do soak them with a carbon cleaner on the piston. It does help with the oil consumption issue. And the things that we do check out is these water pump. You can actually spin it, and if it's very hard to spin, it's bad. If it's easy to spin, you could kind of feel like there's a couple spot because it's actually magnetic. So I would check that. And I would check, the tensioner too. Once you put it down, you have to put it down like this. And when you install it, this face up. This face up. And then when you tighten it, you go clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise. And you can hear it actually ratchet. And when you hear it ratcheting, it means that the tensioner is actually retracted back in and out. And so this part right here is released. So this goes all the way out, and this is actually the ratcheting part of it. It's hydraulic too, so you just have to keep that in mind. While removing the cam tower and head gasket, I always mark everything and make sure everything's back to marking. I always check the spark plugs too, like this. These are worn. I would recommend replacing it. And head bolt, you have to soak them in oil. Remember that. You have to soak them in oil. That's per the repair manual. And then the timing cover itself, you have to remove all these gaskets. It's actually a form in place gasket, so you have to clean it off as much as you can and try to clean it as good as you can and not have any particulates in the engine, or else you would cause engine failure. So these stuff, you gotta throw it away. Throw it in the trash. Clean it as much as you can. So this is the head right here. I recommend putting spark plugs in it and then flipping it upside down and then putting brake clean. I'll show you guys that here in a second. Alright guys, the way to find out if there's any leakage on the valve is to pour the brake clean on top of the head like this. And you can actually use an air gun and put air through the exhaust or the intake, and you can actually see it bubbling if the valve is leaking. So usually if it's leaking, the fluid will start going down pretty fast, but right now looks pretty good. You need to see that it's even on all of them. But right now this is not leveled, but you should probably level it. And if the fluid doesn't leak out, then you're good. And I'm using brake clean. Alright guys, so the other thing that you have to do is remove these two dowels to be able to clean the surface. So this is the tool that I use. The Master Dowel Pin Polar Set. So this is what it looks like. Use this one, which is 1/2 inch. You just put it on top of the dowel like this, and then put this on top. This washer like that, and then just tighten it up. So what you're doing is pulling the black piece up, so it will actually, you can see that there's actually little pieces around here, so when you pull it up, it actually squeezes it, tightening it. So let's do that. Let's tighten it up just enough. not too tight, not that much. Then you get the bigger tube, put it on top. There's 2 washers, put on top of that. And then a nut, put on top of that. This will pull it out. So you just tighten it. And while you're tightening it, it's actually pulling it out. And there it is. Pulled out. So you gotta do it to this one too. And after that, then we will be able to use a sanding stone and automatic transmission fluid to clean it. And then we could put a straight edge and measure it. The tolerance is 0.002 inch. You just do it cross and back and forth and use a feel gauge. If it doesn't go through, then you're good. So that's how we do it for the block. And we do the same thing for the head. You know, we use the sanding stone and we clean it up and then we check it with a feel gauge. Let me get this dowel out and then I'll show you how it works. Alright guys, so this is the sanding stone that I use. It has 400 to 1000 grit. So I use to lubricate this is actually transmission fluid. So you just pour a little bit of transmission fluid on there. Usually go like 400 first and then 1000. So you just put it right here and go back and forth as even as possible. You go like this, but try to make it as even as possible. If all you're doing is removing a little bit of material from the top. So now you go to the 1000. So you went from 400 to 1000. Put a little transmission fluid on there. And just do the same exact thing. Just get in there and clean it up. That should do it. Alright guys, when you're done with your stone, you could use brake clean. Just clean it off like this. That should do it. Alright guys, so the brake clean has been sitting there for half an hour and all of them are still the same level. So that means that we know that the brake clean is not leaking out of any of the valves, so it's good. Alright guys, same thing with this one. We're going with 400 first. Use ATF, the lubrication. Just try to go as even as possible. You don't have to apply too much pressure. You're just getting all the old head gasket material off, so you don't have to do too heavy of a pass, but try to make it as even as possible. Okay, let's go to the 1000. Okay, that should do it. Alright guys, we just cleaned off the surface, and now we're going to use brake clean on the rag, like that much. Just go around and clean as much as you can off the head. And just note that hopefully there's no cracks around here. Everything is good. Once it's all cleaned up, then we're going to get a straight edge. Remove the straight edge. It's a machine surface, so we know it's true and flat. So we're going to put it on the head. Then we get a feeler gauge. And the spec measurement is 0.002 inch. So it should not go under any of these. All these should not, this should not go under any of these. You go crisscross per the repair manual. Alright guys, let's check this out. Look like it passed. Here's the spec. 0.002 inch. Alright guys, and now we're gonna clean the surface. I usually use a razor blade and just go past all these. Just get as much of this foreign place gasket. They call it FIPG at Toyota. Foreign place gasket. Get as much as you can off of there with the razor blade first, or by hand. You just peel it off. Pretty easy. You know, it has the head gasket has never been done when the gasket is gray. When we do it at the dealership, the gasket is black. So that's a telltale sign when you go buy a third-gen Prius and you want to know if the head gasket has been done. Is through the foreign place gasket, like this right here. It's kind of gray. Get as much off as you can with the razor blade by hand. And we'll clean it later with brake clean, and then air it out so we know that there's no particles that are going to be inside the engine. You don't want these to be in the oil pickup and cause engine problems. You use something like this too, but try not to put too much pressure on it. If you don't have one of these, you could use this is called Scotch-Brite. There's a little bit of fibbage right here too. This is the areas that you're supposed to put the gasket. Form in place gasket is right here, all around here in the inside. So the hose has to be outside or else it's gonna leak oil out. And just make sure this area is clean enough. Put the gasket around here because this goes to coolant, so this is coolant, and this right here has two O-rings here and one O-ring here. So now you can just spray it off. And clean it off as much as you can. Get a spray gun. If you have air, just spray it all out. Clean as much as you can, because we don't want any of these particles in our engine. This will clog up the oil pickup. It'll cause the engine bearing to go out if you don't clean it well. So do as much as you can to clean this surface and all the surface that has gasket. And then once we're ready to put the engine back together, then we'll make sure again that the surface is super clean, so then the maintenance service will be able to have the gasket sealed properly. Alright guys,